What is good, everyone? Welcome to today's video. In today, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can heal in order to shift your reality, how healing yourself can shift the things that are happening in your life. So if you are trying to attract certain things, whether it be a relationship, more abundance, a certain lifestyle, I'm going to share with you by healing within yourself, how it has an effect on your outer reality and therefore the things that you attract. When it comes to reality creation, I've explained this in my other videos. We go through this process known as identity shifting, shifting into the version of yourself that can receive the things that you want. For example, if you want to attract money into your life, you need to shift your identity to being a wealthy person. In other words, seeing the world through that point of view. How would you react to things in your reality if you were already a wealthy person? And this is one of the biggest secrets to life, is learning how to react from that new point of view until you feel like you already are this person. But when it comes to reacting to things, sometimes we can get overwhelmed by the emotional response to these things, making it very difficult to react from that new point of view. For example, let's say you get a massive bill that you can't pay and you find it very difficult to react from the point of view of being a wealthy person, and you feel this big trigger within your body. Maybe it's a drop in your stomach, a tightness in the chest, whatever it might be. If this is the case, if we can't react to that situation from that new point of view, then we need to learn to deal with the emotion. And this is the purpose of healing, because when we heal to an event that triggers us, it starts to trigger us less and less and less. Have you ever experienced something in your life where the same thing just keeps happening again and again, and you end up getting to the point where you're like, you know what, screw it, I don't care anymore? And when you get to that point, that's when you actually want the things that you want start happening to you, because you react differently, because you're like, I don't care, because it's happened enough times to trigger you so you can release that stagnated emotion. So when you choose to identify with the new version of yourself, i.e. being a wealthy person, is the universe is going to bring in events, situations and circumstances in your life that is designed to trigger you so you can release these emotions. Because think about it, if you were living on your dream timeline, you wouldn't be holding these excess emotions, this frustration, this anger. Yes, as human beings, we are designed, it's part of the human experience to have these emotions. But the question is, are we holding on to them? Because if you continue to hold on to them, it creates a problem in our life. So, for example, let's say when you were a kid, you had an angry outburst and your parents said, don't do that, that's bad behavior. Now, subconsciously, every time you now feel anger rise up to the surface, you've been told it's unacceptable. And so every time you feel that emotion, you're like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this. And you try and suppress it. You try to push it down. And the thing about energy is it always wants to be moving, or always wants to be flowing. So if it becomes stagnated, it becomes a problem. And it builds in your body like a pressure cooker. And suddenly you become this really angry person. And you always know that you've got this stored emotion when you overreact to a circumstance. So let's say something happens to you. Okay, it's a problem, but it's not that much of a big deal. But you overreact to it. Then you know that that's a stored emotion that the universe is trying to help you to release so you can shift your reaction to attracting what you want. Because the thing is, when it comes to the universe, it's going to keep bringing in the same problems in our reality again and again and again. Do you ever find yourself attracting the same type of relationships, the same type of income, the same type of lifestyle, no matter what you do, but it does it in many different variations? The universe will bring the same problems in many different variations until we learn to react differently. In other words, from that new point of view. And sometimes we can't do that. And that's why we need to heal. That's why we need to release the emotion, because that is keeping us stuck in the old version of ourselves. Once we release that, we will react differently. Therefore, our reality starts to shift. But the thing is when it comes to reality shifting and releasing emotions, is our society doesn't really teach us on how to deal with our emotions. We have three main coping mechanisms that come from the book called Letting Go by that of David Hawkins. And this temporarily suppresses or neutralizes the emotion, but it doesn't release it. And again, we need to release it in order to shift our reaction. So these are the three mechanisms that we use. So the first one is suppression. So when we feel the emotion come up and we don't like it, we deem it as bad, we try to suppress it. Again, this builds up like a pressure cooker, not only causes us problems in our reality, but also our physical health. The second thing that we try and do is we try to express it in some way. Now, I realized this because my background was a personal trainer. I was a personal trainer for about 6-7 years, and I used to really enjoy it, and clients used to come to me and I used to make programs and I used to train them. Now, the thing that I noticed was many times is, yes, they were there for the workout, they were there to either build muscle, get stronger, lose body fat, whatever it might be. But many times is they would just be there because they enjoyed working out. They enjoyed releasing that pent-up anger, that, stuff that was going on with either their partner or their work or their life, or they were stressed out. To them, the workout was a release. And this is what it does. It helps neutralize the emotion, but it doesn't release it. The third thing that we do is escapism. So when we feel that uncomfortable feeling in our body, we try and run away from it. We try and escape it in some sort of way. And we do this through that of addictions. Excuse me, I'm just coming off a cold at the moment, hence why I'm coughing. But we have things like, drugs, alcohol, the next type of relationship, anything that we can do to distract ourselves from feeling this uncomfortable emotion that we have suppressed. Now, these three coping mechanisms, they never fully release the emotion from our body, and this becomes a problem. So I'm going to share with you exactly how we do that. And how we do that is to feel it 100%. This is known as alchemy or transmutation. Now, if you've ever meditated, or someone who's meditated for long enough, is sometimes they can realize that meditation can actually feel really uncomfortable. That's because it's supposed to, because we're giving ourselves time and we're in an enough relaxed state to feel those uncomfortable emotions that we haven't allowed to be there in the past. And we need to feel it. We need to accept it completely. It doesn't mean you have to like it. When it comes to this process of accepting, it doesn't mean we have to like the emotion, but we need to simply feel it. And one of the best ways that we can do this is to get out of our head into our body and feel it 100%. So, for example, let's say we have our stick man or our stick woman here, and around them they have that astral field. Now, we all have this astral field around us. And let's say we've built up certain emotions over our lifetime, and we've got a lot of anger or frustration or jealousy or doubt stuck within our energetic field. Now, there's something called the law of correspondence, which basically means so within, so without. In other words, we are projecting that doubt, that frustration, that anger, that jealousy out into the world, and the world is just reflecting more of that back to us. So if you have a lot of stored anger, you are going to continue to attract situation after situation that makes you angry. You'll find that when you're in an angry mood, you seem to always attract people and circumstances that are just going to reflect that energy back to you. So what we need to do is we need to feel the emotion. So when something triggers us, something outside of us triggers a lot of anger or a circumstance or a person, and we react out of, or we respond, or we overreact to the circumstance, then we know it's something that needs to be healed, that's something that needs to be released. And this is when we feel it and we heal it and we allow it to be there. Now, if it's a big trigger, it might take a couple of days, even a couple of weeks, if we've stored a lot of it. And it's not just going to be one process, it's going to be time after time. So there's going to be an event that triggers us, again and again, until the triggers start to get really small. And when the triggers start to get really small, that's when we start to shift our reaction. If you feel something enough, you'll eventually get to the point where it no longer bothers you. So if something in your reality is really having an effect on you emotionally, if you keep feeling that emotion, eventually you'll get to the point where that event no longer bothers you. In other words, you've learned the lesson and the universe will no longer bring that into your reality. It's what Eckhart Tolle said, the deeper that you accept something, eventually it will turn into peace. So if you continue to accept the things that are bothering you in your reality, they will eventually shift into what you want, because what you resist persists. And when we do this as well is when we feel the emotion, because what happens is when we suppress it, it's got nowhere to go and it builds up in our body and it has an effect on our central nervous system. So it's our nervous system that is holding all of this emotion. So when we truly feel the emotion, when we do that alchemization, that transmutation, it comes out of your nervous system and we can have all of the effects of that emotion coming out of our body. We can feel, a bit tired, maybe a little bit sick. Sometimes, your body might be shaking a little bit. That's all part of the process, and you've got to give yourself time to process, time to relax and allow this stuff to be released from your body, and be kind with yourself, because when you go through this process of truly healing and releasing this stuff from your body, yes, you will feel a lot better, but you need to give yourself time in order to process this. And when you do, your energy field changes, your vibration changes, and therefore so does your reality, because your reaction is going to be different. So I hope this information has helped you. I will put a free manifestation ebook below if you are interested in giving that a go. Apart from that, peace, thank you for watching and take care.